Chad just did the forbidden, and the West just cannot tolerate it. For years, Chad stood still, loyal, quiet, compliant. In a region erupting with revolts, coups, and a hunger for sovereignty, Chad remained the obedient partner, the reliable node in France's military architecture, the friend of the West. Then, one afternoon in early 2025, something shifted. It wasn't announced with gunfire or paraded across global media. It started with a visit, brief, almost unremarkable, to the streets of Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. And within weeks, whispers became shockwaves. Words once unthinkable began echoing through the Sahel. Chad is leaving the old world behind. But why? What did Chad see in the heart of a revolution that it was never supposed to join? And what happens when a nation so deeply woven into the West's neo-colonial system suddenly turns to those who are burning it down? What really happened, and what does it mean for the future of Africa? In this video, let's find out. Everything began in early 2025, when Chad's President Déby quietly visited Ouagadougou, capital of Burkina Faso. On paper, it was a diplomatic visit, but insiders say this was no routine photo op. It was a pilgrimage, a journey to the ideological epicenter of the AES revolution, led by the charismatic and fearless Captain Ibrahim Traore. Déby, long seen as a pillar of Western cooperation in the Sahel, was suddenly shaking hands with the man who expelled French troops, nationalized mines, and accused foreign powers of engineering violence and instability in the region. And he wasn't shaking those hands reluctantly. He was smiling. Sources close to the Chadian delegation say the visit shattered something inside Déby. Surrounded by a youth-led, military-backed government that had rechanneled its gold revenues to local development and built a self-reliant agricultural economy, Déby saw what Chad could have been. And for the first time, he saw the West, particularly France, for what it had always been, a leash around Chad's neck. The moment was not lost on observers. When Déby returned, the usual proclamations of French cooperation were conspicuously absent. Instead, whispers began to circulate. Ministers were no longer shy about praising the AES. And then came the bombshell. Chad would seek to join. However, to understand the magnitude of this decision, one must understand what the AES has become. Formed in September 2023 by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the Alliance of Sahel States is not just a bloc. It's an insurrection against the old order, a Pan-African defiance movement dressed in military fatigues. These nations, having endured coups, sanctions, and relentless foreign meddling, said no more. They expelled foreign troops, particularly French ones. They tore up exploitative mining contracts. They dismantled neo-colonial frameworks that had siphoned Africa's wealth into European bank accounts while leaving millions in poverty. In their place, the AES has built the beginnings of a sovereign structure, a joint military force, plans for a common currency, and a powerful symbol, a green flag bearing the unified map of the member states, without colonial borders. This is what Chad now seeks. Not just protection from foreign manipulation, but redemption, a chance to reclaim its destiny alongside those who are not just resisting, but rebuilding. However, Chad was never meant to defect. For decades, it served as a keystone in France's Sahelian strategy. French troops were stationed in N'Djamena. Western aid flowed through its ministries. The Déby family, ruling since 1990, had long played the balancing act, resisting local insurgencies while appeasing Paris and Washington. But cracks had long been forming. Despite billions in foreign assistance, Chad remained one of the poorest nations in Africa. Roads to its oil fields were cratered and broken. Schools lacked chalk, let alone computers. And its people, weary of being pawns in the West's counterinsurgency theater, began to ask why the AES was achieving results their own government never could. So when Chad began speaking openly of joining the AES, it wasn't just political. It was an ideological betrayal. For France and its allies, this was their worst-case scenario. If Chad, the dependable one, defects, who's next? And that's not just a question. It's something more possible than ever before. Captain Ibrahim Traore has done something no African leader has in decades. He has married military power with moral clarity. At just 37, Traore has become the face of the AES, a fearless critic of Western hypocrisy who refuses to beg for loans while his people starve. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. Since taking power in September 2022, Traore has made Burkina Faso unrecognizable. Gold mines once controlled by French multinationals are now publicly owned. Revenues fund free education programs and agricultural expansion. Foreign troops were told to leave, and the Burkina army has reported better success against insurgents without them. This isn't bravado, it's the results. Mali, under Colonel Assimi Goïta, has reported massive security improvements since ejecting foreign troops. Niger, under General Abdourahmane Chiani, has nationalized its uranium, leading to record economic growth. Traore isn't just leading a country. He is leading a movement. And for Chad, a nation sitting on oil reserves with underdeveloped infrastructure and youthful frustration, Traore offers a blueprint, one that says Africa doesn't need Paris or Washington. It just needs backbone. You should know that Chad isn't just any African country. Geographically, it bridges North and Central Africa. Militarily, it has one of the most battle-hardened armies in the region. Economically, its oil reserves remain largely underutilized and heavily foreign-controlled. By joining the AES, Chad would tip the balance. The alliance's territory would stretch from the Gulf of Guinea to the borders of Libya. Its population would surpass 100 million. Its collective military force would become formidable. But the costs are real. Chad would face sanctions from ECOWAS and pressure from the African Union, both of which have condemned the AES's actions. France may cut aid. The US could suspend cooperation. But if Chad follows the AES model, the long-term gains could eclipse the short-term losses. Independence, after all, is never cheap. And as the AES rises, the failures of the African Union and ECOWAS become glaring. For decades, these institutions promised integration, stability, and prosperity. Instead, they delivered bureaucracy, inaction, and Western puppeteering. When the AES countries were struggling under insurgent attacks, the AU issued statements. When French troops allegedly colluded with rebel groups, ECOWAS looked away. But when the AES expelled those troops and took control of their economies, sanctions came swiftly. It's not lost on Africans that the AU and ECOWAS seem more willing to punish sovereignty than corruption, that they defend constitutions, but not dignity. The AES has exposed them, and Chad's move is a vote of no confidence in both. And across social media, markets, and campuses, the tide is turning. Young Africans, born into poverty, bombarded by Western propaganda, are watching the AES and cheering. In Ouagadougou, youth groups have organized teach-ins on Pan-Africanism. In Niamey, university students wear AES-branded shirts. In Bamako, music festivals feature songs praising Traore and Goïta. Now in N'Djamena, murals of Traore have begun appearing. This isn't just propaganda, it's popular will. Africans, particularly the youth, are done waiting for promises from old men in foreign-funded suits. They want leaders who fight, not flatter. However, the West is not giving up easily. Sanctions have already been slapped on AES leaders. Media outlets have labeled them junta rulers, strongmen, and threats to democracy. Behind the scenes, soft coups are being attempted through NGOs, economic sabotage, and elite co-optation. But the AES is surviving because it's not propped up by the IMF. It's propped up by the people. And Chad's entry would fortify this resistance. Still, threats remain. France will likely attempt to preserve control over Chad's oil. The US may push for a so-called democratic reset. But after Traore's fiery speech in April, "We don't ask anyone to decide our destiny. It's clear the AES isn't backing down." Now, if Chad officially joins, the AES will no longer be a Sahelian anomaly. It will be a continental model. Talks are already underway with Togo, which offers port access. Rumors swirl that Guinea, Central African Republic, and even Sudan could express interest. But expansion must come with discipline. The AES's moral clarity cannot be diluted. New members must share the commitment to sovereignty, anti-corruption, and people-first governance. If they succeed, the AES could become Africa's first truly sovereign bloc since the fall of Nkrumah. If they fail, they risk becoming the very thing they replaced: corrupt, divided, and directionless. Now, Chad's move is not a footnote. It is a spark, a signal that even the most entrenched nations can wake up, stand up, and walk toward sovereignty. It's true that the AES is not perfect, but it is courageous. And in a continent weary of betrayal, courage counts more than perfection. As one activist in Chad wrote on Facebook after the announcement, "For the first time in my life, I believe in my country's future." That, in the end, is what truly terrifies the West. Not the AES's flags, troops, or speeches, but the belief that Africa can finally rise. What do you think? Will other African countries dare to follow, or are they too afraid? Do you support Chad's bold move, or do you fear where this road leads? In the comment section below, share your thoughts on whether the West will do something to stop the new wave of revolution in Africa, or has it gotten out of their hands? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.